In this section, I'm going to go over some of the features of Windows 7. Windows 7 is one of the most commonly used operating systems at this point in business and home use as of the time of this recording. When you start Windows 7 and any of the operating systems, usually you'll be presented with a username and a password. It is a good idea to have a strong password for your computer, usually a combination of letters and numbers. So here we're going to enter the password. And once you enter the username and the password, then you'll be presented with the desktop. And this is a clean install of Windows 7. This is what you basically get after the installation of Windows 7. So once desktop is loaded, the desktop is basically this area here with usually some icons on it. Like in this case, we have just a recycle bin. And this is a clean installation, as I mentioned earlier. In the bottom left in Windows 7 here, on the left you have the Start menu. Microsoft keeps on changing this from version to version. And under the Start menu, this is where you can launch most of the applications. And I'm sure you know some of those features. You have used them, especially if you're using a PC. Then on the left here as well, you have All Programs. And under All Programs, this is where you'll find all the different programs that exist in that computer. On the bottom here, this is where you can type either a command or you can do a search in the, let's say, if I wanted to type CMD, that'll take us to, it'll find the command line, and if we hit enter here, it'll take us to the DOS window so we can type different commands in this computer. On the right hand side here of this window, we also have our profile, we have documents, pictures, and different components pertaining to this profile or this logged in user in this computer. Then we also have the computer here to navigate, or this is kind of like the file browser for accessing the stuff in this computer. So if we click on it, it'll display the drives that exist in this computer. So we have the C drive, and then you have the DVD drive as well. So you double click and then navigate the different folders in this computer. Another component here is that you can right click on any of these items and you can choose to show this on the desktop. So if I wanted the computer on the desktop, you can just simply right click, choose show on the desktop. And now notice it's right here. For managing and controlling the components and customizing Windows 7, you do any of those customizations primarily from Control Panel. So this is another concept of Control Panel in the PC. This is where you can make all the changes in that computer. And here we have different things like for backing up the stuff in the computer, changing the date and time, adding devices in it, internet connectivity, recovery, sound settings, system settings, creating new accounts. So you do it under users here. So you'd go through any of these items, and I'm not going to go through all of these for the sake of time here, but the concept for us to remember is that you'd go under Control Panel to customize settings in the computer. Notice on the top right here, there is a view by, and usually it'll be like this. It'll be under category, and this is what you'll get on a clean install from your computer. So then you'd go by major category. If you want to change something on the security side of things, you'd click on System and Security, and then you have all kinds of other options here. Or if you want to change something about the appearance and personalization of the computer, you click on that. Or if you want to change something under Accounts, you'd go under this. That's the default. Like you saw earlier, you can change it under the view by and choose small icons, and it will display all the options at the same time. You have also devices and printers. This is where it will list all the different devices in this computer, as well as printers. One component as we are here under printers, if you have to set the default printer, where you press print in the default, this is how you change the default or how you set the default on the printer. Basically, you just right click on the printer that you want, and then choose Set as Default Printer. And notice now it will have a check mark. Changing devices, this is where you can add new devices if you needed to. However, Windows 7, it will detect those devices automatically. Another component of Windows 7, it's actually the Windows Taskbar. The Taskbar, it's stuff that you have here in the very bottom of your screen. So you have the Start menu, but then you have the shortcuts or the quick launch toolbar here with different icons. And then on the right hand side, you have all the programs that are kind of running in the background and different controls. For example, this is where you choose if you had a network, wireless network connection, or if you wanted to open the network settings. I just clicked on this little network icon, choose Open Network and Sharing Center, and that'll take us to the network settings. So basically, part of the taskbar, you have different icons to launch new applications, and also you have existing programs that are running on the right hand side and different icons. Those could be customized as well by clicking on this customize icon. Now, you can use the taskbar for troubleshooting purposes, and this is the same across Windows XP, Windows 7, and other versions of Windows. So what you can do is you can right click and choose taskbar. Under the taskbar, you have these different tabs here on the top. So if you click on applications, it'll display you all the applications that are opened and running at this point in this computer. So if I open Internet Explorer, so here we have, for example, Internet Explorer opened, and if we go here under applications on the Task Manager, which was basically by simply right-clicking, choosing Task Manager, now Internet Explorer shows up as running in the computer. Now, if you wanted to close one of those applications, let's say it's not closing by itself on you, or whenever you choose to close it, you can close it the hard way or forcefully by clicking on it and then choosing End Task. So let's say I want to close my computer here, click on End Task, and that will be closed. Now if you go another way to troubleshoot stuff, it's by clicking on Performance. So if you click on Performance, it's going to display you how fast and how much memory the computer is using. So notice, for example, on the memory here on this chart, it's a little bit more than half. So this machine, in this case, I have 1 gigabyte of memory, 1000 megabytes, notice, and it's using 560 of those. If this chart here, it's too high, and this is a concept for this course, is identifying issues with your computer, and in this case we are using the taskbar to troubleshoot those issues. If the memory, if this chart here, it's too high, or it's reaching 90% or 100% or higher, then what you need to do is add more memory in the computer, or identify as to what's using the memory in the computer. Because as we have learned, the programs, when you open them up, they'll consume the memory. They'll open up in RAM. When you shut down the computer, the RAM is cleared out. So the more programs you have opened, the more this memory will be utilized. So if I go and open something else here, notice now jumped to 578. We had 560 before, now you have 578. So the more programs we open, the more memory it's going to use. Another thing that you can troubleshoot is the CPU, or the processor utilization. In a typical computer, if it's running smoothly with no problems, the usage, it should be between 4 and 10%, maybe maximum spike about 15-20%, but then it should get back between 4 and 10. If the processor it's running more than 10% constantly, then what's happening is that one of the programs, it's consuming your processing speed, and it's causing the computer to slow down. And the question is, how do you find which program is consuming your processor? The way you find that is by going here under Processes, the Processes tab, choose to show processes for all users, and then click right here where it says CPU. So under CPU, you're sorting it by the highest, or by the processes that are consuming the most processing power. So right now there's not a whole lot happening here. Notice if I go and do something on Internet Explorer, or let's say I go and run a process here forcefully. Let's say I'll go and run a process under the C drive here to list all the files in the computer. Notice right now the processing, if I go under Performance, it's running at really high utilization. And if I go under processes, notice CMD right here, it's using most of the processing power. And there is also this command host, which is what's running in the background here. That's running at 68% and so on. So what you do in this case, notice the CPU utilization is above 90%. You track down what's running, you'd Google search it, so conhost.exe or cmd.exe, and it'll tell you on Google as to what it's using it. Then what you can do is you can actually go and end the process. So notice right now it's 82% or 60 some percent. If I choose the process that is consuming the power, choose end process, and then notice the CPU utilization, it's down. So that's another way that you can troubleshoot problems with your computer. The next thing here is customizing the Windows operating system here. One of the things that you can customize is the taskbar. You can choose right click on the taskbar where there are no icons, choose properties, and then you can change it to auto hide it, use small icons, and the start menu you can change it so that the default option, what it would be here, you can choose to customize it further to show you certain items. Toolbars, what toolbars to display. Notice now we have an address toolbar just displaying here. So that was under right click, choose properties. Another thing is in Windows is that you can right click and then change to or customize the resolution or customize the display here. So if I wanted, let's say, a different theme, I can change the theme here. You can change the desktop background, different colors, all that type of stuff. Under display here, you can change here the font, how small or how large it will display. And then to adjust the resolution, you can change it from right here, depending on what resolution your monitor supports. Other things you can add is gadgets. This is a new feature in Windows 7. So let's say you want a CPU meter or a clock or on the right hand side. So now notice we have the gadget on the right hand side, the clock. Keep in mind that the more gadgets you add to your Windows operating system, the slower the computer is going to get. Let me revert this back. Other useful features in Windows 7 are a couple things here. The Snipping Tool, this is actually pretty neat that you can utilize it nowadays. Sometimes there might be cases where you want to send somebody via email or in a document part of your screen. And what you can do is you just click on Start, go under Snipping Tool, and then you can capture, basically click on New here, and you can capture any piece of your screen. And then at this point you can either highlight more, choose Edit and Copy, and then go into your document, and then you can paste it, or you can send it via email and so on. So let's say if I go to the web here and I wanted to copy something from, let's say, CNN.com, you can simply go under the Snipping Tool, choose New, and just select what you want. Highlight what you want here, copy it, and then email it, paste it in your document, or email it to wherever you want to email it. So that's the Snipping Tool. Previously I showed you the gadgets. Another useful tool in Windows 7 is the Sticky Notes. So you can actually click on Start and then go under Sticky Notes. If you can't find those, they are actually also located under Accessories here. And it's the Snipping Tool, that there's the Sticky Notes. The Sticky Notes is basically you can write different notes on your screen here, reminders for yourself. Another useful tool in Windows 7 is the ability to connect to a projector. Before you had to press keys on the keyboard and that type of stuff, but now in Windows 7 you can simply click on Start and then go under Connect to a Projector, and then you'll have these options. So if you are in a business out there, or you're presenting and that type of stuff, you have a projector with you, or you're connecting to a provided projector already, you can simply connect the cable to your computer, click on Start, go under Connect to a Projector, and then choose Duplicate. It will duplicate whatever you have on your laptop screen to the projector. Also, for home use, you can use the extended projector or extended capabilities, which basically it will utilize your laptop screen as a primary screen, and then you can move the mouse to the second monitor or the second screen. So you're moving from one to the other without having to press any keys or anything like that. And the usefulness of it is that you can open one program on one screen, and you can have another program on another screen as well. So it's very powerful, and I recommend it very highly. Windows, it kind of has the name because everything that you open, it opens on these windows, and I'm sure you know some of those concepts already. So those windows you can resize by holding the mouse on the bottom or any of the corners and just dragging it. You can maximize this window. You can minimize it by clicking on this little minus sign. To bring it back up, just click on it. And there it is. And then to change it, to restore it, you can just click on this middle one. Now these windows, you can close them also by pressing Alt F4, or you can switch between programs or between windows by pressing Alt Tab. It will switch between all the different windows that you have opened. Another cool feature in Windows 7 is that you can actually hold down the Windows key on the keyboard and press Tab, and then you'll get a preview like this. In Windows 7, if you have two windows open and you want to have the screen fully halfway, you can hold down the Windows key and then press the left arrow on the keyboard, and it will put that window in exactly half of the screen. Now if you have another program, let's say this one, and I want it on exactly on the other half of the screen, you hold down the Windows key and then you press the right arrow. And now we have it on the right hand side of the screen. You can also double click on the title of a window, and it will make it full screen. If at any point you need help with Windows, of course Google is your best friend, or you can also search help by basically on any place wherever you are in Windows, you can press F1 and it will display the Windows help. There is also, as you get your computer started, Windows 7 here, you click on Start, you click on Get Started, and then it will tell you about all kinds of new options and discovering Windows 7 and that type of stuff. Okay, so those are some of the features. And the best way again to learn about operating systems, we can't cover everything here, is by simply exploring it and basically tinkering with it. It's not going to get broken. Give it a try. If you're not sure as to what you're doing, just press cancel and go from there. One other thing to keep in mind is, as we are talking about operating systems, do a backup of the operating system or your important files. One of the options is by going to the control panel and setting up the backup options right here. Should be under backup and restore right here. Or copy them somewhere online, either using Dropbox or SkyDrive or even an external hard drive as well. But if you're doing important work, always have a backup. And finally, adding, removing programs. A lot of times when you get a new computer from the store or installing something, you may need to remove certain programs that either came with the computer or that you installed earlier yourself. So one of the things to do is going to Control Panel, and you can do this in any version of Windows, and then you go under Programs here, Programs and Features, and then basically you'd pick the program that you want to uninstall. A good tip here is when you buy a new computer, take note of the programs that are already installed, and then anything that has changed from that point on, it's stuff that you have added and you can customize it from there. So you'd click on the program that you want to uninstall, click on uninstall, and then say yes, and it will do all the stuff. Even though you uninstall a program this way, usually, and this is the best way to uninstall a program in Windows, still try to avoid installing any type of program that you can get your hands on, because once you get it loaded, it never removes it 100%.